order. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Present.
Scott.
Here.
Mark is absent. Stephanie's absent. Dale's present. If you'd like to look over the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Any back to that?
No, I'd like to strike this letter from American Citizen.
Okay. No problem.
Did that get in the packet, Sam?
Yes, it did. It's
Yeah.
just in the back.
Yeah. That doesn't need to be in there.
Will you say,
Mark is here.
will you say Mark joined the meeting?
Mark joined the meeting.
So you want me to amend that motion then? Phil?
Please.
Okay. So, make a motion to approve the agenda minus the American Citizen letter.
Motion to approve the agenda with the exception of the American Citizen letter, pages 17 and 19. Is there a second?
One second.
Motion by Mark to second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'm going to look over the minutes for the August 18th and the September 1st special meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 1st and August 18th as presented.
And dispense with reading.
Reading.
Motion by Scott to approve the August 18th and September 1st meeting minutes as presented and dispense with the reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Look over the vouchers for this month. What's the South Dakota LTAP, Wayne?
South for LTAP,
Yeah.
Technical Assistance Program.
The what?
Local Technical Assistance Program.
What does that involve? What does that involve?
It's a conference
Oh, okay.
held every year.
Do you still want the voucher?
What's that?
Do you still want the voucher?
No, that's fine.
Wayne, on the road shop expense, miscellaneous, other fresh food for $250.
I don't have it, I guess. Must be for paper.
Was the Miller's Fresh Foods?
2:36, Stephanie joined the meeting.
Which one were you looking at, John?
Invoice number 0908. 98,
For who? For who?
Miller Fresh Foods.
I can have Chelsea bring in the other document.
Samantha, do you have a book for me, Commissioners?
Yes. It is. Here, you can have this one.
I'm not sure what that means.
I can have her bring in the other side. Just for this.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented.
Motion by Scott to approve the vouchers as presented. Is there a second?
I'll
What
second.
did you find on
We're
the,
still looking.
I think the Miller's one was 61 and the one below it was the 250.
Yeah.
On page 6. It just shows that, it just says, Miller's Foods, and it says road shop expense miscellaneous for $61.80.
Slip attached to the vouchers.
Chelsea took them all off, so I'm just gonna have her bring that in.
Most likely is toilet paper, paper towels, and probably some soap. You didn't buy groceries there. You couldn't get much for 60 something.
I think when he initially looked at it, he
He
was
doesn't sound like
reading
mirror there
the
yet.
total for the one bullet.
The NDACO one?
Yeah.
I'll go run and grab it.
I'll second that motion to
Good second.
accept the bills.
Mark seconded it.
No, I think that did.
Okay.
I lost track already. Motion by Scott to approve the vouchers as presented, seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. I'm gonna look over the monthly office reports. And then we have a bank signature card for,
Yeah, if I could just get a motion to add Brianna Grandalin to the signature card and get all new cards. I just need a motion for that. And then the bank will get them all for us. And it would be for all of the banks.
I shall make that motion.
I'll second.
motion by Stephanie, seconded by Mark to approve new signature cards for all the financial institutions. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anybody have any questions on the office reports?
I'll make a motion to accept the office reports.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the office reports as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Wayne, do you have something from Ackerman Estivold?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think Jamie was gonna.
I haven't heard back
Right
from
away,
anybody
too.
for any assistance. I emailed them and I haven't heard anything.
And Paul, do you have anything for us?
Like I said, just passed out some info on their potential projects and then Prairie Dog funding update from the end of August and They collected 125 million last month. This month should be enough to top off this last state bucket, and then we'll start filling the county ones. So maybe by the end of November, the county ones will be full. So pretty sure by the end of the year, unless the production really drops off.
Good, thanks. NDSU.
So this must not be the right one, because I just looked into mine.
Good afternoon, Commission. It's nice to see you. I just want to first start off to say thank you for your support in the past year for extension. It has meant a lot to us. We met last week about a special vote for the county. And so I came here to address a budget shortfall that we thought was going to happen for fiscal year 23 of $4,400. Commissioner Wakefield came in prior to the meeting and had a little visit with me, checking out some language on a mill levy vote that had occurred in the county in 2020. And if I can have, just let
Okay.
you take over, I would love that.
So there was an advisory vote put before the citizens, I think 19 or maybe 20. And it specified, it asked whether or not to continue the extension at up to 4 mills. The language advisory vote really applies to all the, when we ask for a mill levy raise or the ability to raise a mill levy, they're all advisory because we're not obligated to raise those. So the language in that qualified to allow the commission to raise the mill levy for the county agent up to 4 mills. The commission already approved the dollar value, so that
Yeah.
the county agent requested, the county agent got $57,1842 to his office, which was an increase over last year of $3,200.
Yes.
It wouldn't go through because of a computer program that kicks out anything over and above
The 2
a mill levy. So that will be corrected. The budget will, being it's been accepted by the commission, the budget will go through and that $4,200.12 or whatever it is will be levied. So
yeah.
now the problem that you might foresee and some might foresee is in the panic before this, there was a ballot measure put forward to request 3 mills in the upcoming election.
Yes.
Well, if you take the prior advisory vote in its entirety, it's 4 mills. So today, I believe, and Jamie will verify or not verify, I think we can take the 3 mills if the commission so decides off of the ballot, or we can leave it there. The Century Code gives us the ability to either ask for an increase in mill levy or a decrease, either
I
way.
think today's the last day for candidates to withdraw, so I think we will also be the last day to remove language from the ballot.
Okay. So then it would be, then the option would be, do we take that off the ballot and leave it at 4 mills, or do we leave it on the ballot and drop it to 3 mills? Either way, it's gonna be an increase, because if the citizens said, no, we don't want it at 3 mills, then it would stay at 4. And if
That's
they
what
said
I was
yes-
wondering, is that?
I
is
believe
that
that's
the-
correct.
Jamie, if
Yeah,
it was
that
on
would be
and
my
they
interpretation
said,
of it, that it would stay at 4 and not go to 3.
Right. So if you look at the budget, and the reason that the shortfall occurred was because in past years, when we didn't have a county agent, we were carrying over the unused salary. So you can't carry the salary from the previous year, you carry it from the year before that, because the year we're in right now, we don't know what we're gonna end up with a balance at the end. Okay, so we were carrying over $12,000 from 2021, where in 2020, we carried over $36,000. That's where the shortfall occurred, along with the increased costs associated with these county agents' salary. So next year, without being able to carry over this, the 3 mills would cover it, the 4 mills would give it a cushion, but remember, the amount of mills that are assigned to the county agent are done so on a yearly basis by the commission. So it is not 4 mills, it's up to 4 mills.
that's correct.
So
Does this,
we created more problems by not investigating this closely enough. And in the future, as I investigated this, NDSU and the extension is supposed to be involved, and we are supposed to be involved in the budgetary process with NDSU, because of course NDSU gives us a bill, $29,000, that we are to pay to NDSU. Well, if you look at the way our system's set up, that's a bureaucratic entity levying a tax. So just because you give us a bill doesn't mean that bill has to be debated between the commission, which are the representatives of the people, the taxpayers, and the NDSU. So in the future, you need to be involved in this process sooner. And if you decide to, it specifically spells out in the Century Code, the salary of the county agent needs to be explained and put before the commission, and then the overall dollar value that it's gonna cost the county to have the county agent is negotiable on a yearly basis, because it has to be. Budgets are only on a yearly basis. So in the future, because NDSU says that Griggs County owes them $29,000, that isn't a hard number, because that's never been passed by the commission. We can't just dole out money because you say we should. The citizens demand and should have somebody looking out for them. You're levying tax without representation by doing that. And the Century Code is very explicit on that, if you'll read it. So the problem here was lack of communication between NDSU, the extension agent, and the commission. And that can't happen in the future. So if we would have been involved in this negotiation, this would have come to light before the budget process, before we got to the deadlines where we couldn't remedy it. Luckily, the remedy took place because we'd overlooked the 4 mil.
But you said there was never a carryover.
No, I said last year's carryover does not apply to this year's budget.
But I never knew there was a $55,000 carryover when I started.
You fill out the budget every year, and the carryover is right at the bottom of each year. It's as plain as the back of my hand. So if you don't, it's not my fault you don't understand the budget process. You are supposed to be, as a department head, in charge of supplying a budget to the county commission. It's not our job to teach you how to do that. You're supposed to know that. And we did our job. We authorized what you gave us. You didn't notify us there was a shortfall in the amount that could be levied. Luckily, that was remedied without our knowing it. But this is not a fault of the county commission. We don't put together your budget, you do. And if you didn't know the specifics of that, that's not on us, that's on you. And in the future, hopefully that won't happen.
So the 4 mills that was voted on in 20, does that fall under that 10-year rule, that every 10 years? it's
Jamie will
supposed
have to
be
look at that.
It should.
Voted on
It should.
and
fall under the 10-year rule.
reappropriated?
Yeah.
I think the only way it wouldn't is if somebody questioned the ballot language, because the Century Code's pretty explicit on what language has to be put before the voters. And this didn't follow the exact language, but of course, the intent was the same.
Mhm.
So,
So I'd like to bring up, John had said that, and Jamie had said that today is kind of the last day to decide if you choose as a commission to ask the people for an authorization of a levy up to 3 mills, which was decided at the last meeting. Would you like to keep that on the ballot, or would you like to rescind it?
What would you like?
We would like the ability for the commission to have the authority to mill up, levy up to 4, as it is their decision, but to have that freedom to do so.
will we be involved in the budget negotiations next year as far as the salary and what NDSU is going to want from Griggs County to provide the services? Because that's essential to our budgetary process. Presenting us with a number that can't happen. We have the ability to set the county agent's salary and all expenses on a yearly basis. That's explicit in the Century Code. And you're not giving us that opportunity.
we are the employer of record for the county agent. And we are governed, when I do salary increases, by the legislative process, which decides raises for state employees. And that's determined on a biennium basis. In the last biennium, it was $1,200 per state employee for most employees under $80,000 a year. So all employees got $1,200. Last year, the legislature gave us the authority to levy up to 2% average across our employees. We get those numbers from OMB. OMB gets them to egg budget, and then I'm given a pool of money to look at the employees that I have of all county agents across the state, and we determine salaries based together across the state for agents.
Okay, 113806. The budget must be revised annually to account for changes in the agent and staff salaries and operating expenses. The Board of County Commissioners annually shall provide the North Dakota State University Extension Service input on the extension agent's performance.
Yes.
The extension agent's annual salary adjustment must be agreed upon by the Board of County Commissioners and the Extension Service based on the agent's annual performance and consideration of county and Extension Service budget limitations. Pretty explicit what that says, that every year the budget, the salary of the county agent is subject to the budget limitations of the county, and we haven't been included in that. And that has to happen going forward. That, I just read you from the Century Code. So it doesn't matter what you've been doing, this is how it has to be done.
I do want to let the other commissioners know how it has been done, as John has read that, because I feel that that is fair for all of us to know how is this determined. We asked the portfolio holder of extension to be a part of the annual review process. Stephanie, you have been a part of that for 2 years. When I do an annual review on Jeff, where we talk about goal setting and performance. The commission, I have used the portfolio holders to advise me if they feel the agent is not performing up to their job description, that is taking into effect.
Stephanie cannot make a decision for the whole commission. It specifically states that the
I
budget
will have to follow
limitations-
up with the NDSU side with this, because I was not prepared for this conversation here today, and I want to make sure that
Shouldn't you be prepared to carry out your duties per the Century Code when you're dealing with the taxpayers' dollars? Of course you should. This shouldn't have come as a surprise to you. This should be
I'm okay with the
common knowledge.
conversation being a process.
Okay,
Instead of
well,
rolling
anyway,
into-
we'll talk about that next year. The county agent's budget is approved and funded, and we'll go forward from there.
Maybe you should back up. Tell them how the salary is done. It sounds like people don't realize how is it, who funds what.
So
Explain it real quick.
So our salaries are, 50% is provided for by NDSU of Jeff's salary, and the other 50% is billed to the county, and then we take care of all the benefits for the NDSU employee.
Yep.
We are the employer of record, and we also have entered into a base agreement with the Association of Counties on how we do this partnership together, because we're all in this together, from state money that's coming through NDSU and national money and county dollars. You guys are a very important partner with us. We can't do a county extension across the state without county commissions. You guys are so important to us. But that is how it is done. As I said, the raises are through, as a state employee, through the legislative process, through the Appropriations Committee.
Let me read it to you one more time. From the Century Code, the extension agent's annual salary adjustment must be agreed upon by the Board of County Commissioners and the Extension Service based on the agent's annual performance and consideration of county and Extension Service budget limitations. It can't be more straightforward than that. That the salary is dependent on the budget limitations of both NDSU and the county. So all we're asking for is that we be included in that evaluation prior so that we don't run into situations like this. And it doesn't matter what you've done in the past, it matters how you're supposed to do it. That's plain and simple.
So basically you want her to bring to us what the raise that they were figuring per the state, that figures it out, what the raise will be for him, we'll approve it.
If we approve it, we have the ability to say no.
Correct.
Right,
But
that's the
what
process.
that's what
because
you're asking.
It has to be that way. How else are the citizens protected
Yep.
from, we're supposed to be handling their money. We're elected to make sure that their money is spent correctly. If we're just presented with a bill, just like we're presented with any bill, we have the right and the duty to question that.
Right.
And we've been left out of that.
Right.
And if we don't get involved in that, we're gonna be back to this thing every other year. Because we can't account for what the salary raise is without knowing what the salary raise is gonna be and without having input on whether or not that should take place.
I would like to go back to this question of the ballot measure, of what would you guys like to do there?
My opinion, we should withdraw the 3 mil and go with the 4 mil advisory vote that was approved in 2020.
I agree, otherwise it looks like we're questioning what the will of the people was
Yeah.
3 years ago.
And then probably the next election, if we're supposed to do it every 10 years, have it on the ballot for 4.
In 2 years?
Yeah, the language isn't you have to do it every 10 years, it's only good for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
There's a sunset clause on all these.
You would fall back,
excess
it would
levies
fall back to the
back to
2
2,
mills
yeah.
if it wasn't.
Do you need a motion to remove that from the ballot?
I would assume that would be the right thing to do.
I'll
yes.
make a motion to remove it from the ballot.
Motion by Stephanie to remove the 3 mil ballot measure that was approved on the September 1st special meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that kind of solves itself. Office help, what's that?
That was the.
Oh, just, what's your latest on, do you have somebody hired? That's my question.
Yep, Madison hired, or
Okay.
Madison, Jeff, and Wayne hired.
Okay.
Brianna Gonjalon, and you guys approved her to be on the
Okay.
signature card today,
Okay.
so.
That
Yep,
That was my question before.
yep, she
Okay.
started yesterday,
Okay.
so.
That's easy.
Perfect.
And we have Sheriff McHale's resignation letter. You guys seen this and gonna approve this, or?
It's very unfortunate. She'll be missed.
It leaves us pretty short of law enforcement in Griggs County, but I don't know how we move forward with this.
Do we have to accept the letter? I'm just-
I don't think we have
No
indentured
choice.
servitude here. I do have a question on the funding part of it. It appears like your budget was up 22% since 2001. There were salary increases, 2 deputies and a sheriff were funded. What was the shortfall that it was
It's nowhere
indicated?
where it needs to be, not even close, period.
Okay. So it looks like that the difference in what you requested and from what you got was for a third deputy.
And salary increase.
Yeah, not, the salary increases that you received were within
No,
2%.
we're not even, our salaries are not even close to where they should be.
From what you requested. You requested
Not even
61.
close.
Well, let me finish. You requested 61,796 as a sheriff's salary, and you got 60,861, so it was within $1,500 a year.
That's great, but they're not even close to where they need to be again.
But that's what you requested.
I don't care, John. What I'm telling you right now is our salaries are not close to where they need to be. End of story. You can sit and laugh and
Well,
poke
no,
and.
but you put
It
forward a
doesn't matter.
budget.
They're not
You
even
requested.
close.
Well, then why didn't you
Does anyone else
request?
have anything?
Why didn't you request what you wanted then? We
You
just
didn't
finished.
approve what I requested.
You
that makes
requested
no sense.
$61,000 and we gave you
I'm
$60,000.
done talking to you.
Well,
Anyone else?
Well, we had $47,000 in for that for the last deputy, remember, for the third one, you know?
correct,
We took that out,
correct.
and I voted to keep it in, you know, so.
Yeah, it went out because the cops grant was supposed to fund it. And-
Oh, the cops grant that you keep complaining about? That makes 0 sense.
What are you talking about?
Where are you with that grant? Do we? It
That's
didn't
the-
go through.
It didn't go through, okay.
That's the point. So, I mean, there was an increase in the budget. The budget that you got was close to what you requested, and now you tell us it wasn't enough. We can't read minds.
How is it close when I didn't get the extra deputy? That's close.
That was dependent on the cops grant, we were told.
Oh, nobody told me that.
Mark,
Yeah.
I specifically
I thought
remember.
So
But,
then
uh,
maybe it should have been, well, if we don't get the cops grant, we can amend the budget and put this in, but I didn't hear that. So,
So maybe you guys should step in.
Yeah, Jamie, can
here a
you,
little
yeah.
bit. So we're in a situation where law enforcement is tough to find in the state. There's somewhere over 120 open positions in the state. I think we need to do what we can do to keep Amber around. I think she's well liked in the community. I think she is doing a good job. So made some calls last night, spoke with Amber, and asked Amber to come to the meeting to speak with you guys. I think we need to do what we can do to keep Amber around, and I spoke with Amber last night about what would satisfy her, what would satisfy the sheriff's department. As everyone knows, Shane is leaving. He's being deployed on Monday, and we're down to Amber and Dalton for law enforcement in Griggs County. There's money in the budget for Shane's replacement for the time that he's gone. I spoke with Amber, and she would like to have a full-time permanent replacement for Shane while he's gone. And Shane's going to be coming back from deployment somewhere around calendar year 24. At that point, the sheriff's department would like to add another officer and bring Shane back. He's entitled to come back. Federal law states that he has to have a job open when he comes back. So that's where, and Amber also asked that the deputies be given a raise as well. And like I said, there's 120 some positions open in the state right now. We're short of law enforcement. I don't want to be short of law enforcement. My family lives here, my parents live here, our farm is here. I don't want to be put in that position where we're short of law enforcement. I don't want the rest of my family and friends to be put in a position to be short of law enforcement. I'm probably as conservative as the rest of you guys here. However, I know that there's a place where we need to spend money. There's public safety involved. I have an interest in having good officers and good law enforcement because that helps me do my job. Without good officers, I'm unable to do my job, or it makes it way more difficult. So there's some self-interest involved, but I think ultimately, we need to sit down at the table and make sure that we keep Amber around and have a full law enforcement department, and I don't want there to be a sign on the door of Griggs County saying we're open for crime because we don't have law enforcement. So I would ask that you guys sit down respectfully and try to work something out, because I think there's some common ground that can be found. I mean, we're all looking for the good of the county.
When do you think, when will you be back?
They don't give us a date.
Oh,
Have you been actively seeking someone to fill in or replace Shane while he's gone?
No, because I was told if I did that the commission would be scared it would turn into a full-time position. So that I should look for overtime officers from Steele County to come in and cover, which is not realistic.
When did that transpire?
At the last meeting I was at.
Was I here?
Hmm?
Which I mentioned then that Steele County is not able to come and work overtime for a year in Griggs County. And considering they're the only ones we're dual deputized with, that's my choices, which leaves me with 0.
Well, the budgeted money for the second deputy is budgeted for this year and next year. That money's to do with as you please.
Yeah. My option was to get overtime from Steele County. Steele County's not gonna work your overtime for a year.
No, you could certainly, we can't, the commission cannot budget any more than 1 year out. So no one's positioned anywhere in Griggs County other than the 5 positions designated by the Century Code are for more than 1 year.
It's really hard though to hire somebody for
I-
a year while Shane's gone,
Yeah.
and then tell that person, well, you might have a job next year, but after he comes back, you're out. I mean, that's kind of hard there.
That's always the way it is. With
Right,
It-
but,
it can't-
the way things are budgeted.
right.
That's
Can't be
true,
any way
guys.
else.
But there's over 100 positions open in the state, but they don't have to question that.
yeah.
I mean, they're ultimately, yeah, I mean, a budget could be cut, but they're going into those positions without having that in the back of their mind. It's pretty tough to expect someone to move to Griggs County and work in a job in law enforcement and uproot a family or start a career and know that there's a possibility that you're likely only gonna be there for a year, where they can move to Fargo or Grand Forks or Valley City or wherever, and at least have the opportunity to start a career and not have that in the back of their mind that they're not gonna be here next year.
I think at one point in time, the city was willing to work with the commissioners to help afford a 4th deputy.
Right, and they never put forward a budget and never came, met with us again.
I should say one other thing. I don't usually get cross with the commission, and you guys know that. I don't usually argue against you guys. And it's tough to do that. But it's something I'm passionate about because it's my job. It's my job to try to make sure that Griggs County is safe. I take pride in that. I take pride with working with good cops. I think we have good cops here. So with that said, I strongly urge you to try to work something out with Amber because I think it's the right thing to do.
Well, we have to have, where are we at? I mean, that's the point, what's wanted, what actually is doable. Can we enter into agreement to fund a deputy for the 24 budget? Because there's possibly, not all of us will be here come 24 budget time, so how do we speak for somebody that isn't here? That's the whole purpose of a yearly
I
budget.
don't disagree with that, but it also gives her the ability to work with you guys to fund that position in the budget for 24 without being shut down about it.
How? No, I mean, how do we ensure that that's funded for 24?
I don't think there's a way to ensure it, but there's no way that you can ensure anything for the
That's my
24
point.
budget.
That's my point. So the money in the budget right now should allow it to hire a full-time deputy.
It would normally, John.
It
But-
does.
But if
But there's
that-
no one to hire.
Well, I'm not gonna argue that point, it does normally. However, that position has to be open for Shane when he comes back from his
I
deployment.
understand that, but, so, you tell us and how we do that. So how do we, for sure, there's gonna be one different commissioner on here come the next budget cycle.
Keep Shane's open.
So how would we then ensure that there's money in the 24 budget from where we are now?
You can't.
My point, that's the point. As much as that would be favorable, how do we legally do that? Because the system doesn't allow that to happen. That's my point. I'm not trying to be contrary here, but how do we do that going forward?
Where would you have pulled it from this year? Let's say, for instance, if that fourth deputy went through, where would we pulled it from then?
We would have had to levy for it. We would have had to increase the taxes in order to do that,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm. And I wonder if the citizens of the community probably wouldn't argue that, mind it.
Yeah, over here.
Well, we need somehow to keep her here if we can. That's kind of an object here, guys. Need to work this out. You know, right now, if she goes and then Shane goes, we're down to one, and there's nobody else to fill in. And we can't expect Steele County to come over and bail us out all the time.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's arguing that point. How do we do that
I know, but
financially?
that's.
No one's arguing with what the need is.
Yeah.
It's how do you do it?
Is the budget finalized for this year?
Yeah,
Well, we can't go down. We can't go up. We can, yeah.
right.
That's-
Well, it's
2023.
finalized for this year, and then you guys did approve it for next year.
Yeah.
And I can't.
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
for the upcoming year.
Yep, yep. And you can't.
That's final approved.
Well, no, not final, but the preliminary is, and Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong,
Budget
but
can't go up now.
we can't go up, we
Okay.
can only go down.
We already informed the citizens of the amount of money that they're gonna be taxed. And now that can go down, but it can't go up. So I agree with all the points that we have to have law enforcement. How do we go about doing it?
Could we could have put a ballot measure on yet? It's too late for that, even today.
Can't change the budget, you can't change the budget.
You can't change it, no.
August 10th, the budget has to be in and
Okay.
completed, and you can't go up, without it, it can't go up.
So next year we'll have to look at it, the budget to add a fourth person. When it comes to that time.
I don't know, I guess everybody's in the room, I guess I would just ask Amber to go negotiate with the commission and see if you guys can come up with something.
Well, if it's impossible to add a position and me know it's there, then hopefully the next sheriff, it will be better for them. So I'm not gonna wait and hope and think.
Well,
If it's
if he's gone for a year, you can negotiate that for another position before that, that time for the next year. So when he
But
comes
if I'm not
back.
guaranteed it right here today, I'm not doing it. But hopefully for the next.
Well, I
sheriff,
can't
will.
see why they can't negotiate that for
I'm not.
a fourth person on there. In that position in the budget next year. Not next year, I mean the year after. A year
See, I think
from
the fourth position was looked at as partially to the city and partially for us.
Right.
So it's a matter of what the city's willing to pay and what we're willing to pay to get to that fourth position.
Right, but if the city isn't, even you guys, and that's what you're working with, to have that fourth position, I think the city,
Yeah.
what I've heard that they're gonna
Yeah.
go. Then it can be taken care of on the budget for next year, in 2004,
Yeah.
or whenever it is you go
But-
through it, at that
The
time.
city has come forward to me 100 times about wanting to work with the county.
Yeah.
I come in here and the county's against it. I mean, Wakefield says
Not
it's
me.
not gonna benefit the county, it's
The-
not gonna benefit the county.
The city's
So
never
why
come
are
and
we-
presented any numbers to us.
Why would they when it's a no?
No, it is not a no. We have
I
to
mean,
know,
if
we
like
have to
working
know,
with the city,
we
it
have
makes
to know
zero sense
what it
why Griggs
costs.
County cannot work with Cooperstown. It does not make sense at all, period, when the city's begging to work with the county.
Please tell us how we do that financially.
It makes zero sense.
No,
You can raise
please tell us how we do
taxes.
it
Mill levy.
financially.
If it's a mill
Figure it
levy,
out,
if it's
that's your
possible.
job.
Yeah.
And all of us on the other side and myself are all saying yes. It's an okay thing to do. It's for the public, the
Yes.
people, the citizens of Griggs County.
Dennis, the law doesn't allow us to do
But I didn't
that.
say this year, when it budget in for the next year when he's coming back.
That's the negotiation for next year, absolutely.
Right.
That,
And you
that's
can
my
do
point.
that.
Yeah, the commission at the time can do that. That's my point. They very well can.
Yes.
But the commission now cannot tell the future commission what they have to do. That's also the point. It's a conundrum. I mean, the commission now agrees that something has to be done,
Right.
but we can't set the budget or tell the commissioners that are in place in 2024 what they have to do. There's not a way to do that.
Yeah, because.
And you were on the commission, you know that.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
It's
there's
set
no way to
once
do
it's-
that.
Once it's been approved now, levied out.
So we're arguing two different points here. We're arguing what should be done, and then we're trying to determine how it should be done, and no one has come up with a way to do that without putting us in legal jeopardy, because this is a century code that we're governed by. And yes, all you in this room right now might agree that this has to be done, but I'll guarantee you there are taxpayers out there that will fight this. And they will mount a legal challenge. There's 2,000 people in the county, so someone's going to fight it, and then we're going to have to say, well, yeah, we did it. Well, why did you do it? Because we thought it was the right thing to do. Yeah, but is there a legal basis for it? And so far, unless Jamie or someone can tell us how to do that, we don't have a leg to stand on.
We can't commit the county to 24 budget. The county,
No, you
the
can't.
commission can commit to working with the sheriff's department to do something in 2024, but they can't commit to a budget.
Correct?
Yep. I don't know.
Well, here's my final words. This could have been taken care of at this budget season and done with. It was asked for, it wasn't given, period. It can't be taken care of now, great. I hope for the new sheriff that you guys will think more into it. End of story. And give these guys a raise.
How much money's in the general fund?
What do you mean by that?
Total.
Like on hand right now?
What
Or
is
budgeted.
budgeted for the general fund? After the levy is on,
No, you're looking for the reserve amount.
the reserve.
Yeah.
For this year or the budget that we just took care
The budget we just took care of.
of? Okay. There is a reserve of 200,000.
Okay, I thought. Okay, how much money is left in the COVID funds?
Um, $156,673, but that is as of right now.
Yeah.
But we did use some of those funds to offset the
How much
budget.
did we use?
40,000, wasn't
I think so.
Is there any restrictions on those dollars?
No, I don't think, I think those are all lost revenue I actually think there's pool funds that are available to pay as bonuses to, essential employees as well. I think those would be used for bonuses to essential employees.
I see what you're getting at, Mark, yeah, I see what you're doing.
Well, what's in the reserve for this year?
Well, somebody clue me in. What are you looking for?
This year's reserve, $260,785.64.
Yeah, you'd have to work with this year. Okay.
And what do we use the reserve funds for?
Those are anything over and above, such as if we missed budgeting something, then we can take from that. If something goes over budget, we can take from that. I know we have used some of those reserve funds.
Kind of errors and omissions.
Mhm.
But it offsets levy, so what doesn't get used just goes against the levy next year. So it keeps the taxes low, while at the same time maintaining an emergency reserve. It's dual purpose. So if you spend it, then you'll have to replace it, which will have to raise the taxes. But I still don't get where you're going. So how do we get money from this year or last year
I was just curious
into
what was in the
into
reserve.
into 24? That's the point that we have. That's the problem we have.
So she's got budget money to hire a deputy right now,
Absolutely.
and that's all there.
And I did look into the health insurance. The health insurance would end for Shane when he is deployed, so we wouldn't be in.
Yep, so
then
a deputy while he's gone.
it wouldn't charge you anything for additional.
It's gonna be
for,
budget zero.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And how much would it cost us to have, when Shane comes back, the position, which will be there for him, available with health insurance and all of that? Do you have a total number for that figure?
I don't know, not offhand.
Well, it's pretty easy to figure out. So, I mean, in rough numbers, you can use $50,000 for salary and another 50% of that for benefits, retirement. So in rough numbers, equipment, training, everything else, $90,000 to $100,000.
Because if I'm at 50, I'm gonna be about at 80 for benefits and.
Right.
And what you're looking for is another deputy.
And raises for the deputies.
And what are they at now? Just so we get a number, what you're thinking about
Are you wanting this year's or next year's?
next year's.
Next year's.
Well, we already budgeted.
Okay. So Shane, Amber makes $60,861.50. Shane makes $49,401.03, and Dalton makes $46,369.65.
Should I pass this on?
What do you have for a number? Total.
Oh, I was just figuring out how much you had now. Yeah.
So if you use 100, is what it costs to, for a deputy.
How much are benefits for a year?
Just give me 1 minute and I'm working on the
50%
notes.
of the
Of the
salary.
salary.
A little bit over that, but that's about.
15% retirement and social security's 15.7 or something, isn't it?
And the health insurance.
Then insurance.
Let's see, the social security would only pay half. It's taken out of the salary.
Do we pay the full social security? I've forgotten.
Full retirement, with 15%.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at, it's pretty easy to look at the budget, look at the total salaries and the total benefits, and it works out about 51%.
What did Amber come in with? What was the sheet?
Those were the numbers that she
What do you want to select?
requested.
Sorry.
Yeah, she proposed.
Oh, sorry.
It's hard to be competitive with the rest of the counties when there's so many open positions, and I think Griggs County is one of the lowest paid counties for work, which is hard to be competitive with everybody
These
else.
boys are the lowest paid deputies in the state of North Dakota. And not to mention, we have the less amount of positions. And I'm the second lowest, with the least amount of officers. And no admin, no nothing.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, that's, you expect 3 people to work? Yeah.
So it should go up a little bit, because of health insurance is gonna go up. But I came up with about $21,597.48 for the benefit side of Shane's salary of the $47,319.
That 49,000 isn't including benefits, is it?
No.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
I'm sorry, what? Say that again?
That 49,000 salary that you said is Shane, that's not including the benefits, that's just his salary itself.
Right.
So this is for the new deputy, so then the 47,319 and then the benefits 21.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the one thing I can think of is that if we lower the reserve right at the back for 2023 and bring in that deputy, knowing that the next year, you're gonna have to increase taxes. That's the only conclusion as to what I can see to fit it in the budget if see fit for 23.
can you put an extra, a fund for that deputy for 2004 or 2024? You know, because you were kind of figuring out what it would take if she knew that money was there for that fourth deputy. The next year, like you were saying, the commission at the time may change, but he had a fund for that.
Oh, kind of like what we do for the new vehicles. You put money into the new vehicles to fund it for the next, when they need to
Right.
replace the vehicles and such.
Right. And you can pull enough out of the two different funds, you're not hurting any one of them too badly, and then you've got it there for her. So she can say, okay, I can see it, this will work now. Because like you said, it's not good for our area to be unfunded with this police force like this. And not for one person, there are two people to try to function. That's a 24-hour job, and it's don't work.
Mm-hmm. And very appreciated, all three of you.
Very.
So very appreciated. And everybody knows that we need you guys.
Got a number yet, Dale? See, you're right.
I'm just figuring percentages. I still don't know how to make this happen in the future. And just saying you're gonna do it doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. There's no assurances that you can make it happen.
Unless you stuck it in a separate fund.
You can't do that, Dennis. You can't take money from this year and project it out. That's the whole purpose of an annual budget. Everybody agrees that it would be nice to guarantee things into the future, but the only way you can do that is borrow the money and do it on a bond, and you have to get approval of the people to do that. We've seen how that worked and didn't work. Or you have to do it on a yearly basis as the budgets are done. And I don't, unless Jamie can come up with some other way to do it, there is no legal way to do that.
The commission can't be committed to a 24 budget. First of all, there could be two different commissioners. You can't commit those guys that haven't been elected yet. But the budget cycle runs from year to year. There's a purpose for that. That doesn't mean the commission can't commit to working with the sheriff's department to do something, but they can't be committed to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I for one think we need to, in the future, visit with the sheriff's department to work on future proposals and discussions, how to figure it out. And I think a visit with the city would also be good. I think we as a commissioner, as a county commissioner, need to work together with the city, not just wait for the city to propose to something to us so that we can slam it down. I think we need to sit together before anything's proposed to figure out what may work in the future.
We requested they put money in their budget so that we had something to start with, and that's the only way we can start. We have to have a commitment for money. Everything runs on money here. We just can't say, yeah, we just tried that. Yeah, we should do it, we're gonna do it, but how do you do it? That's the point.
Right, so we should sit down and visit with the city for future.
The last time I asked the city to come in, I spoke with John on the phone prior, and he was very upset that the city was coming in to talk to the commission about working together.
No, not about working together, about
He was
trying to
very
have
upset
us
about it.
commit to something without them committing to it. This process is real easy if the citizens
And
of.
let me remind you guys, it was just for initial talks of city and county working together. No decisions were being made, no nothing, and he was very, very upset about working with the city.
That's not true. That's not true. In fact, the city was here and we talked with them and they were gonna come back to us. If the citizens of the city want law enforcement, they have the right to do that.
Well, it appears there's a day thing we can do to help this year or 2023.
If you can come up with something, I'm fine with it. I just,
So as a taxpayer, what do we expect from the county for law enforcement then? We've paid our taxes and we'll have who? Fort Dalton.
Maybe.
Fort Dalton.
And he can't work 24/7, let's be realistic, because you two have done that before. What do we expect then for ourselves who have already paid our taxes and also got an increase in our taxes and
but you're missing the point. The money's
No,
still
I'm-
there. But the money's there.
I
If the
understand
sheriff,
that.
so it's been appropriated. What we're talking about is people that don't wanna work here. So the money's still there. How, I don't know, can we go out and grab somebody off the street and say you have to be sheriff?
At this
I don't know
point,
what the
that's,
answer is.
what else are we gonna do? We need to keep the sheriff we have.
Okay, so what are we going to do?
I don't know, I
What
think-
does this mean? I don't know what this means.
That means we need to do some adjusting of something and find a way to.
Tell me what we're going to do. We
I-
just explained the whole thing. How
Could
are we
we-
gonna do
Could
it?
we
You're in
move-
charge of the budget, that's your job.
Could we move
Not
from
us.
reserve to
That's my
budget?
question is
in
this
there?
reserve that we're
Yeah.
talking
COVID
about.
fund.
I'm very open. I'd like
For this year, yes, we can. But for 2024, we can't take money from now and move it to 24.
We already know 24, we can't. We already know 24 is obsolete.
Okay,
We're talking about
Today.
22 and
Today.
23, what can we do for these, what's coming up recently with
And do we have a
the
commitment
situations?
from you commissioners that are currently here? We understand there may or may not be new ones next year, but we also need a strong commitment from the commissioners to keep our county safe. I mean, the minute they know there's no law enforcement, welcome Drug Central.
understood. So what is the proposal? We all agree something needs to be done, but it doesn't help to stay here and say, well, we gotta do something. What do you want done?
to take money from reserve,
Or the COVID
And-
fund, or
And do what?
give it to the sheriff.
fund what are the deputy that we need or the raises that we need to keep.
The deputies are already funded. There's 2 deputies and the sheriff already funded.
Okay.
Okay, that's already there. Whether all 3 of them leave, that money is still there.
Who are you gonna hire in the whole state of North Dakota?
That's the point. But again,
One and the raises now.
Yes.
right. So you want to, so what is, I mean, someone come up with a proposal because we can't act without a
Why are
proposal.
you asking the citizens to come up with something for your budget? Isn't
I'm
that
asking
your job?
everybody, what is the proposal?
I mean, the city of Cooperstown has nothing to do with your budget. I don't know why you keep asking them.
I'm asking
That
the
makes
whole,
zero
in general.
sense.
What is your proposal? I'll ask you.
I have it right on the table,
Okay,
and it's not my job to run the budget. That's yours.
the budget season is over. You didn't come to us
No,
with
that we
this
talked
before.
about, we talked
Oh,
about.
I didn't come, did I not?
Talked about taking
Hey,
it out
Scott,
of
did I
another
come
fund.
with an extra deputy on the,
take-
yeah, that's right, I did.
Now, I have your
Talking about
budget
taking it
proposal
out
right
of funds
here.
and being able to pay them out of other funds. I know you can't do the budget, but you got the funds in there, and you can utilize part of that stuff like you do in an emergency to keep the police force in town.
Yeah.
That's what, I think, after we discussed that, I think that's what everybody's looking at, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
agreed. Whether you call it a bonus, whatever you have to do to
Right.
make it legal and keep
But-
them here.
But, so she gets the wages she needs and her help up to that, and then like in 2004, when he comes back, we just hope like hell you can get money for that, when the time comes.
I like the idea, however, I don't feel like I could make a motion without running numbers first. You know, seeing exactly what is where, you know, to possibly take from the reserve, you know,
Right.
to bring it over to fund it.
Can you give me a total here for all the salary increases from where you are now to what? Well,
It's
it would be
right on
from,
there, it's just
it-
calculated.
it would be from the salary.
Do you want me to do some
Sure.
calculations right now?
Yep.
Since we're on their subject, what's the latest on the last patrol car, guys?
It's ready.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Wonderful.
These proposals, is this for this year's? Or is this for next year's?
This year.
This year's, okay.
Like effective October 1st, 2022?
Yes.
This is for this year's, so. So you want these numbers starting next pay period, right? That's, okay. Okay, so.
And then are you looking for that same rate to continue through all through next year
Sure.
too?
Yeah.
Or that plus the raise, or just this number? Just start it in October and it runs from this year all the way through 2023?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so I need to.
What's up on your budget for brakes in your vehicle? You're not gonna sneak up on anybody with those.
He's quiet stuff, he's right for it.
This year. Based on 10%, 11%, 14% increase.
7,000 total? No, a month? What was the price difference? I wasn't able to figure numbers, just figured numbers, so.
Oh, I just figured the total budget was like 156.
Oh.
I took it 12% would be 18,000, of course the fringes would be another 9 for the whole year. Break it up per month. Not a big number.
That'll cover for the rest of this, from October, November, December.
Yeah, if not, they could screw it up. But that
And it'll be less for next year because it's, they got that raise for next year. They just brought it up. So.
Okay, so the difference for this year, the remainder of this year would, if you got the deputy right away, $67,822.69. That's giving.
That's including a fourth deputy?
Yep. And that's the benefits for the remainder of this year. And then
Come up with what would be the increase dollars
7,000 a month for the
for
raise?
this year.
so the salary increases for this year for the sheriff would be $7,703.54. For Shane be $7,681. And then the Dalton would be $8,584.62. And then the next deputy would be an additional $23,389.76.
That's for the entire 12 months.
Nope, that's just for the remainder of this year. I took their salary, what's remaining in their budget, minus these things, and then that's what is remaining. And then if we go into 2023's budget, I can get you what it would increase it.
She said she was gonna leave, whatever she got for this year, 2023 was gonna be the same, wasn't it? Is that what Amber said?
She wanted to start it in October.
Yep, right, but I think she said 2023's would, is that what she said when you?
Yep.
Yes.
It'll be, you don't increase her wages in 2023.
Correct.
It'll just be what it is now,
She's just.
October 1st through.
Yeah,
or,
this.
you know.
This is the
Right.
remainder.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep,
For 2023.
yep.
What were the numbers she's asking for again? She's currently making 60 and she wanted to go up to what?
66.
66?
66, 55, and 53, just to round numbers.
Okay. So let's just say it's a 6,000. That's not exactly a 6,000. That's a 5,000. I didn't knew she had paper. It's just divided by 28. $2.47 raise.
Okay, so then it would increase the budget, next year of $100,773.75.
That includes this part of this year. What's left of this year too?
No,
Oh.
no, that's just for next.
That's for next year,
Yep.
okay.
That includes.
That doesn't include health insurance, sorry, I forgot that one. Sorry, hold on.
Are you saying it's for her to go up, it's 7,000 a month more?
No.
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 No,
750.
Oh, 750, okay. I'm like, wait, what? Because the insurance doesn't change.
no, this number, this $100,773 that I just gave you does not include the health insurance, that was on me. So then it'd be another $35,275.20.
What were the other two numbers again?
What other two numbers were you?
So Amber's 66.
Okay, so she's
Shane.
requesting 66,
What's
Shane would
Shane?
be 55, Dalton 53, the new deputy 53. And so right
Oh,
now,
okay, so the 100,000 includes that fourth deputy.
correct,
Okay. I was all confused for a moment there.
sorry.
No, that's me, not you.
And the health insurance must be on just the fourth deputy. Because the rest is already there.
Right, yep, you're right. So, yeah. That was dumb. 734, 72 times that by 12, yeah, so it'd just be another $8,816.64. Sorry, not the 35. But they are discussing an increase in that
Mhm.
for next year.
Mhm. Mhm.
Stephanie.
Now I did that pretty fast, so there might be some mistakes in there, but.
So what she was asking just for the raises is 17,367
For this year or next year?
for both, because it'll be actually less next year because she gets, or actually
It'll
the
be-
same, yep, 17,000.
That's what, but you have to add the benefits on top of that.
But this is I'm just talking about the salary increase.
Yep.
The benefits stay the same, except for the social security for the retirement.
So those are
all that,
that's
yeah.
the percentages that I just calculated out for you.
What is it, 12% you said?
No,
6.5.
So all of the, like the payroll things come up to about 43% 8.21% of the salary. Your retirement is 15.26. Hold on one second.
That's why I said it's really easy just to figure half again as much.
So retirement is 15.26. FICA is 7.65.
Yeah.
Job service is 1.
So about 8,000 of this
Yeah.
is benefits and taxes. Okay.
Over and above that.
So 26,051.32, approximately 26,000. Over 26,000 is approximately what she's asking for in raises for an increase for the year.
Say that again.
For 23.
For 23, not including that extra deputy, but in raises. And that extra deputy is 53,000 plus whatever, plus half for the benefits. So it's 26,500. So 79,500.
So what are your wishes, people?
You should take a big chunk of the reserve for bringing it into 2023. Reserve and COVID funds. We've got plenty reserved for 2022 to be able to tap into.
What was your total number?
Oh, it's more than that.
I got a number here, but I don't know what.
Do you want to know for just, what did you say if we gave raises starting now to the end of the year, it's how much?
If you get that third or that fourth deputy.
Without the fourth deputy. just
Without the
curious.
fourth deputy, okay.
Okay, with the fourth deputy, what would you say it was?
76,822.69.
And that's just provided that they're starting to just start looking for another deputy, whether they get one hired in a month or two anyways, but.
But that's saying that you're getting a fourth deputy and you're replacing Shane right away. That's boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
What was that total again? For the salary increases for just this year?
Salary increases and the benefits,
Yep.
67,822.69.
Okay. $7,000.
Hmm.
$70,000.
Just for the remainder of this year, it'd be around $7,000
Yeah.
for the existing people.
Yeah.
For the existing three
Right.
people that are here.
Yeah, it's like $7,000 to give them a raise for the next 3 months.
I have a remainder of 7,703.54 for Amber, 7,006.
That's for 12 months.
Yeah, she only, her raise is like $500 and some dollars a month.
3 months.
I figured that out. So if you want to figure out what the difference is between 66,000, subtract 6,861. Oops. So that's a 5,138.12. Divide that by 12 months. That's what it would break out to be monthly difference.
What I did was I took her budget of the 58 that she has right now, 58,296.46 minus the 66,000. I got the 7,703.54. So that would be for the remainder of the year. So then, yep, I would have had to divide that by 12, and then times that by 4. Yep. Sorry.
And then take it times 150% to figure in the added social security, unemployment, all the rest of the add-ons.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, that was on me. Like I said, I did this fast, so I missed that one spot. 567.
A new deputy would be 6,625 per month. That includes the benefits.
Are you figuring in this last fund, for 24 for the new deputy then also, or not? You're not, you're just getting everybody up to the end of 23? Okay.
What's the new deputy then? Why are we figuring that in here?
Yeah.
Just for figure numbers.
The new deputy for this year, more than likely isn't gonna happen.
No.
Didn't you say, Amber? You're gonna be lucky if you can hire one, let alone to get two.
Right.
Right. That was
Okay.
my other question.
So keep that fourth deputy out of this, my calculation that I'm
Yeah.
doing right now?
Yep.
Okay.
So,
And in the
I
future.
got a question then.
In,
So we're gonna have 4 deputies next year, 23?
24.
23. Halfway through 23, I suppose, whenever Shane gets back.
mhm.
She's got the figure for, and we don't know, he doesn't know when he'll be back.
Okay, so it'd be an additional 442.06 for the raises and the benefits for the remainder of the year. Sorry about that.
Good job.
What?
$11,442.06.
1,004. I'm not writing as fast as you're blurting it out.
Sorry, $11,442.06.
So I'll make a motion that we take $11,442.06 out of the COVID funds and transfer it into the sheriff's budget for the remainder of this year.
Motion by Mark to transfer $11,442.11 cents from the COVID fund into the sheriff's budget for increased salaries for the remainder of 2022.
So the first thing you have to do if you wanna do that is you have to amend the 2022 budget to reflect the increases. Then you have to transfer the money after that.
Okay. I so move.
I'll second.
We motion by Mark to amend the 2022 budget to reflect the $11,442.11 coming out of the COVID relief funds going to the sheriff's budget for salary increases. Seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion?
I got one question. It's kind of the elephant in the room. If we do what we're proposing to do, will you stay on?
Very good possibility.
That's the elephant in the room here. I mean, this is what we're trying to drive in at. Okay.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any additional discussion? Now, this is just for the remainder of this year. Is someone gonna make a motion to continue this on to 23? Because we,
Do you want to do the roll call first?
yeah. Anyway,
Let's do this first.
John,
No.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yep.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
Yeah, that's only 4 months.
Now we gotta,
The year left.
now we gotta do the 2023.
Yep.
Amend the 2023 budget.
And then we'll have to deal with all the rest of the county employees that we just excluded.
We know.
I don't understand why we haven't actively been looking to fill Shane's vacancy.
Who
I
seconded that
thought that
motion?
was in the
Who
works.
seconded that motion?
Steph.
Have we,
Was I
have we
missing
been looking to
date
fill
that?
Shane's vacancy?
I don't know. I don't,
We have some-
you and I were,
Have you got some?
I think we were kind of, I was gone during that part budget.
I'm working with the Academy in Devils Lake and currently looking to see if there are any possible new recruits that would want to come on. Obviously, I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to do my best to
Sure. Sure.
get in contact with 3 of the students.
Okay. No, it's not easy right now. I mean, just like you said, there's 125 people, 125 positions open in the state, isn't it? Law enforcement.
Mhm.
A lot.
Mhm.
Okay.
Somebody gonna do the 23?
I'm letting her.
I'm just trying to get some
We're getting her all
numbers.
typed up first.
Oh.
You guys are okay. You guys can keep going. I've been under pressure all day, so you go.
Oh, she's gotta give you more information? Or you got it all?
Oh, we gotta get a number. Well,
Okay, what number would you like?
low one.
The 2023 increase for the
Okay.
sheriff's department budget for the raises plus.
Well,
Another
she's,
deputy.
you know what her raise is, and the other one's on the paper, right? Or she got all different wages for the deputies too.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so
What's the number for the whole year? Do I just take that 11,442.06 and times that by 12?
Yeah.
um um
When Sam's doing a little math there, why don't we knock off some of these other things?
Thank you.
State Fair delegate. I talked to Kelly Hansen and he agreed to
person.
to be our delegate, so we need somebody to nominate him.
I'll nominate Kelly Hansen for the state delegate for the 4-H, correct?
State Fair.
State Fair.
State Fair,
A
sorry.
representative for the State Fair.
Okay.
Motion by Scott to appoint Kelly Hansen as our delegate to the State Fair.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so if I'm doing my math correctly, that would increase the sheriff by or for next year, increase the sheriff by $5,138.50. That would increase Shane by $5,598.97. That would increase Dalton $6,630.35, and then the $53,000 for the fourth deputy. With the benefits on that, that would be 773.75 plus the 8816.
My quick figures is 125, 268.24. I took that 11,442, divided that by the last 3 months, took that times 12. October, November, December, so it's 3 months. So
So about $109,590.39. Is that about what you got? Because they did get a raise, so then that raise wouldn't have been.
What number do you get?
I get $109,590.39 additional.
Did you have the new deputy at being 79.5?
I have the new deputy at 53,000.
Oh, I was including salary plus benefits in my number, but
Yeah, that's what I did.
oh, okay.
So right now her for 2023 Amber's salary is $60,861.50. So that would
5138.50. Yep.
5138.50. Yep. And so then
A $17,000 increase, and then you're taking
5,138.50 plus 5,598.97 plus
Take that with both on the state of the delegate.
plus
Mhm.
equals. So I get a salary increase over and above what's already budgeted, $70,367.82.
okay.
And then I have 53.21% of that, $30,405.93. An additional $8,816.64 for health insurance for that fourth deputy would get you to that 3.75 plus the 8816.
What's the minimum amount of time that you'll possibly go?
The 109,590.39.
We don't really know. We barely know exactly what we're going. They're coming back. They don't kind of give us that information just for safety.
Yeah.
I mean, when I find out on there, I definitely will be letting Amber know, give her a heads up.
They're usually year tours, usually.
Yeah, approximately.
And then when you come back, I don't know, it's like whatever for once you come back kind of thing. So I'm gonna guess at least 15 months. But
So what's the increase without the fourth deputy for next year?
Held the fourth deputy for next year. Okay.
Because I don't know how we can do this.
I wouldn't budget for the fourth person.
I mean, it could be
You don't know how long
4
when
months,
he's gonna come
could
back,
be
so
6 months, it could be 10 months.
I think we can attack that when it gets there for when we know he's gonna be coming back.
Well, there was a problem, you said we couldn't use Shane's salary to hire a third deputy, because when Shane came back, we'd have to lay the deputy off, wasn't it? No, so now you're saying we're gonna have 5 deputies when
No,
Shane comes
no.
back?
When
No.
Shane comes back,
Well, that's
right now
what-
we have 3. And-
if we have a fourth deputy next year, when Shane's come back, that's fine.
No, he is the fourth.
He
You lay
is the
somebody
fourth.
off?
He is the fourth.
We're
He is the
budgeting
fourth.
for it though.
Yeah,
He's not
that's what
here.
I mean, how do you budget for something?
It's hard to budget for a fourth person, but you know he's probably not gonna be here for the,
Yeah, we don't know how many months he's
Right.
gonna be gone.
so for 2023, we should just budget for the three.
But he's leaving like Monday, so I shouldn't have even put him into this year's. No, I should have.
Yeah.
Right,
Should.
I should have, okay. Okay. And then, okay, so don't put that in there, equals that.
Let's say, for instance, here's my thought. Let's say, for instance, we've got 3 full-time people working, and Shane comes back next October. At that time, we can look into using COVID funds or reserve funds to, you know, put in for that Shane's return. And then have 4.
Do you have the impression that these reserve funds are just money from heaven? These are dollars that were levied, taken from the taxpayer, that have a specific purpose, that are now gonna have to be replaced. So you're talking about a tax increase here of $150,000 over the next 2 years.
5 mills, 6 mills.
Yep.
Okay. So if I did that amount
Just so we know what we're talking about.
correctly, be $24,872.45 over and above what's already budgeted for.
Because it's twice as much money, because the salary has to be paid and the reserve has to be replenished. So
That's right.
Yep.
It's a double.
What you're talking about here is not as simple as you make it out to be, because again, this isn't money from heaven, this is money that has to be replaced. So you're spending it, and you have to replace it. So whatever you spend on the sheriff's department, you double that
Double
because
it,
it has
yeah.
to be replaced.
You know, you guys been working on a budget that you've been shorting out of the funds, you've been taking some almost every year out of your special funds.
What are you talking about, Dennis?
So to do your budget, I know you're taking some out of the,
We used COVID funds this year
COVID
to
funds.
make up for the
Your
difference.
budget.
We used
$40,000.
COVID funds in the heat of the COVID because it
Reduce the burden.
It reduced the burden on the citizens, which
Mhm.
COVID
Right,
funds were
but you
intended
used
for.
that, right.
Right.
And we used COVID funds for the senior citizens because the cost of their transportation they couldn't cover, which hauls the senior citizens around. They couldn't cover their Meals on Wheels, which feeds them, and they needed new ventilation systems for their places they gather to keep them healthy. That's what we've used the COVID funds for. The COVID funds were intended to decrease the burden on the taxpayer, not reward the employees. That is the purpose of it.
Especially the ones that worked during COVID.
If you read the language of it, that's what the language
Those
says.
us for sure.
So, again, just so we all understand what we're voting on here, you know how I'm gonna vote. But we're not coming next year and then wondering why our budget is so screwed up. And then there's gonna be finger pointing or what's gonna happen, because this is going to put a $250,000 deficit into the next year's budget. And that was never contemplated in this year's budget. And these raises he's talking about were not asked for in this year's budget. They were considerably less than that 3 months ago.
Without the fourth deputy, the increase in salaries is $17,367.82. 43.21% of that is $7,504.63. That comes up to a total of $24,872.45.
Is this of 2023?
2023.
That would be the increase, that's what would be taken out of the reserve.
Reserve or COVID funds, either or.
COVID funds, yeah.
That's
Or
a very
essential
minimal amount
employee,
is-
yes, very essential.
I would like to see it come out of the COVID funds. I'll make a motion for the 24,872.45 out of the COVID funds.
What's the 24,000 cover? This, just the increase in salaries in the 3 deputies, or the 2 deputies and the sheriff.
Sure, correct.
In 2023
Huh?
for 2023.
Correct.
Yep.
How do we amend that budget that we're not in?
I'll amend it for your October meeting.
It doesn't increase the levy, so it doesn't affect our budget is set. How do we make more money flow into 2023? Is that COVID already
It's already there.
in the budget?
No,
No, that COVID funds is off
Off the
of
budget?
budget.
it's outside the budget, so it's money coming in the budget, which will increase the overall budget, which by law we can't do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just put it in a fund.
Is she?
So, but we can dedicate those funds.
Is it that we can't increase budgets, or we can't increase?
That COVID money should have been put in the budget because that money was there, so that should have been put in the budget.
Yeah, but it's in a special fund, it's not in the general.
I'm not sure.
But I can make a motion
I don't have an
to,
answer for your question.
but I can make a motion to dedicate those funds, so when we get into 2023, those funds will be already allocated for that.
But the budget, what they're saying is the budget can't increase after August 10th.
Yeah. See,
That's
you're
the problem.
confused.
There's gotta be some workaround because that money.
Well, we can amend the budget,
But-
we just amended the budget to increase it
Like-
just now.
because we're in that budget cycle.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so when we get into 2023, we'll have to amend the budget.
I have to go back and look at the
to-
language if it's
to
increased the
increase
levy or
it.
if it's increased the budget, but I don't think the budget can be increased.
I don't know.
Until we're in
There's the
it.
ability to transfer money within the budgets, but I don't know if there's money. No, after August 10th, there's no.
Well, we just amended the budget just now and brought COVID funds to increase to give raises for 2022. So why can't we do the same for 2023?
Because we're in this budget cycle.
Correct. So if we wait until 2023, then we can do it.
Oh, I see
But we
what you're
can
doing.
dedicate, make a motion to dedicate the funds for that, so when that does happen.
The budget dedicates funds.
I have to do some research.
Yeah, the budget dedicates funds, that's the whole purpose of the budget. There is no, we'll dedicate funds to the budget. The budget dedicates funds. Yes, you could say that you're gonna vote for it, and you're gonna vote for it, you're gonna vote for it, and Dale's gonna vote for it. Are we sure all, the voters are all gonna be here in 2023 to follow through on that? That's the whole point I'm trying to make.
Sure.
You can't
Sure.
indebt a future commission
Yeah.
to something that we do now, because there's no way to guarantee it.
So we have a motion on the table, but we don't have a way to make it happen.
Well, you know, it's to allocate it to ensure that's allocated to that area to cover 23. But
So I'm not sure how we move on this. I think it would be best left alone until we have a little more information on what we can and can't do.
Sure.
Just keep your numbers anyway, though.
I got them written down.
Don't start all over.
Because I prefer not to act on something that we can't legally
Right.
do.
Okay.
Motion dies for lack of a second.
Yep.
Where would I find the COVID fund in the budget, Sam? I thought I saw them in there, but
It's not within the budget.
It's not within the
No,
budget.
no, it's just in our liabilities report.
okay, that's where I saw
But
it.
it will be in a special fund, it'll be in Schedule E or C maybe, when it comes in there. Or you're gonna put it into the general fund.
I wasn't gonna do anything with it, I was just gonna
Right.
leave it out of the whole budget
See, 'cause
spreadsheet.
if it comes into the general fund, then when it skips over a year, then it's gonna offset levy. then it would become a reserve, it would become a carryover.
Right.
And then it would offset levy, so then it wouldn't be, those COVID funds wouldn't be available into the next year if you put it into the budget, into the general fund. If you kept it in a special fund, then it could carry over in its totality. But once it went into a dedicated general fund budget, when that year ended up, it would go as a carryover, and it would offset levy the next year. So that would be, if you do that, that would be a use it or lose it situation. So if you put it into this year's budget, next year it would offset levy and it wouldn't be there. It would reduce the burden on the taxpayer next year, which would be my wishes, but just so you know what you're doing when you start moving this around.
All right, what do we got next?
So I don't know how much farther we can go on this sheriff's budget at this point. I think we're stalled out for the moment. If that's everyone else's opinion.
I agree.
That's mine.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah. Polling places and polling hours.
So I just need a motion to make the Griggs County Courthouse in the courtroom our polling place, and if you guys would like to keep the hours as before, you guys did extend the polling hours an additional hour. We had
Very few.
come in within that hour, that first hour, so I don't know if it's
But we had very few
voters.
in person,
Yes.
no matter how long
Yeah.
we were open.
Yes, correct. And so that could change, that would probably change within the general election, but depending on how you guys want to do it, if you want to open that additional hour.
What's the hours, Sam?
Well, before it was 9 to 7, but you guys did make it 8 to 7
Okay.
for the primary. So, however you would like to do it.
How many of your citizens are automatic mailing for voting?
Oh, a lot.
That's what I was just wondering.
Yeah, absentees are big.
Absentees.
Yeah.
We need more absentees and people coming in. It's so handy nowadays that.
Right.
Mhm.
And we're in Florida, where it's not
No, this one's not.
You mean you're voting in 2 states?
I'm voting Ottawa.
I guess
All right, I'll make the motion to do it like primary 8 to 6, was 8 to what? 8 to
7.
8 to 7, yeah. Do the same as primary, we'll keep it the same.
I'll second that.
Motion by Scott, seconded by Mark to set the polling hours and from 8 to 7, and the polling place will be in the courthouse.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, excuse me, opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Do we have any information on our 2018 to 2021?
I do have a little information. I spoke with the auditors today. They're awfully persistent trying to get in touch with me.
Great.
We had a discussion about the building authority and the building and why it should not be listed in our financial documents, and they don't agree with me yet, but I also did send them the email of the AG's letter that went out to the Fire and Tornado Fund in 2014. They were halfway receptive of that and not quite as combative after I explained that's the reason that we get differing information from differing state entities, and it really looks like they have egg on their face when they give us contradictory information that comes from the city news office. So they were gonna take a look at that. I made a proposition that they come and speak with the commission, and they are adamant that they don't wanna speak with the commission during an open audit, and I said, well, you better talk to your boss and see if that's doable, because I think we need to be transparent with the people and citizens of Griggs County and allow them to do that. And so he was gonna go back to Galleon and see if they would come and meet with us.
Is that their standard policy for everybody?
Apparently, that's their standard policy. They said that a committee of 2 commissioners can speak with them. And once you establish a committee, that's also subject to open meetings.
Open meeting.
I don't know if they realize that, but
So what do you suppose they're doing? They don't want the public to know?
I don't know. It's really weird to me. I had a little bit of a veiled threat. I thought that the auditors stated that he's caused enough trouble in the media for places that he doesn't want to cause anymore. So I think they also have egg on their face for a couple times that they went to the media this year. So they think that hopefully they backpedal a little bit, but.
What's the big discussion? What's the big controversy? Is it because they want to add the?
So they want to add this courthouse to the county's balance sheet and depreciable assets. The county doesn't own it.
Yep.
The county owns the land that it's on, but it's owned by the building authority, and the accounting standards say that we're a blended organization and we're not releasing it. We could allow this to be taken away by the building authority anytime we don't pay the lease payment, which I would guess isn't going to happen, but that's beside the point that we don't own the building.
At the end of the lease, when you pay it all off, it doesn't become.
Then it's an asset,
goes
so
back
then
to
it goes
assets.
on, then I think it's listed in the financial statements, but not until then.
Until then, right?
But I know he's been working with our insurance agency to try to get this onto
Yeah, so,
our state fire
so they're
and
doing
tornado.
us a favor
Yeah.
and allowing and working with tornado and fire fund to try to get us on their insurance. And there is actually a section of code that won't allow it, so I'd like to see them try to defeat that section of code.
You'd still have to overcome the fact that because of the way this was done, the county never got permission to own the building. That's
Right,
why
it's not a county asset, in
That's
my
why the
opinion.
building authority was created, because the citizens wouldn't give the commission bond approval. So in order to move around that, they had a separate entity own it. So if we ever bring it onto our balance sheet and say we own it, now we've violated the whole principle of being given permission to spend money. And that's why it was off on the side anyway. And that's where it has to stay. It doesn't make any difference because we can't use it. We don't borrow money. What's the purpose of having it on your balance sheet? They're looking at it from a private industry standpoint, where if you have it on your balance sheet, it's an asset you can borrow against. So we don't do that. Government doesn't do that. So they're trying to prove a point that they talked us into firing our auditor because he'd done something wrong. And when they did the audit, they couldn't find anything wrong. And this is the last ditch effort to try to prove he did something wrong, which he didn't. He was following the right guidelines, in my estimation. And they'll give up on it.
Well, I'd like to see them come and meet with us, because I think that if there's, and we know there's no problems, but if there are problems, we should be transparent with the citizens. That's our job. So I don't agree with that they do an audit behind closed doors. If there's problems, bring it up. We have nothing to hide. I don't think any other government entity should be hiding any of that from their citizens or their taxpayers. So that, I think, it doesn't work for me.
And we need to hire someone for our 2021 audit.
Yep.
2020 and 2021. It's only 18 and 19 that's been done, and I need to be giving that information to other entities, and
Well,
I
Yep.
have
Don't
nothing
have
to
it.
give them right now.
So was our previous auditor employable to do it or not?
I thought so. I was talking to him, and then all of a sudden he stopped talking to me. So
Oh.
I'm not entirely sure. I can
Yeah,
reach
but-
out to him again.
Have you put out calls to like Ide Bailey and Brady Marts and those other businesses to give us a quote on audit?
You want me to do that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should
Just so we have a,
solicit bids from,
I mean,
don't know.
audits aren't cheap.
No, not at
So,
all.
I mean, I have an annual audit and the nursing home alone pays $26,000 a year just to be audited. But
That's with Harold. It was only 4.
right.
You could solicit bid from the state auditor's office.
Well, that'd be good.
Do we have anybody locally? Do you have to have special certification to do these audits?
I don't know, as far as government subdivisions, I don't know.
Or can a
I-
CPA do these things?
I
Or?
think so, but
I would guess that CPA could. I don't think that there's any other certifications
that are required.
I think it's just if their familiarity with the
Yeah.
Do you guys
Yeah,
know Harold?
yeah.
beneficial for them, but
Right.
And there's a lot of firms out there that don't wanna take on government right now, or they aren't taking new clients.
Yeah, I would say try to get some quotes out, just so we have an idea.
Should we put an ad in the paper? Does anybody locally have the ability? I don't know.
Okay.
So,
Is that your wishes?
yeah.
Okay.
Have we paid Harold?
No, I haven't got the additional documentation that you guys requested.
So in order to pay Harold too, the audits have to be accepted by the state. There's a section of code that requires the audits to be accepted by the state before we're able to pay them.
And the funds that he was requesting before those audits had been approved by the state, but that was the additional documentation that you guys were requesting, was that the information from the state auditor's office that it was approved, and I haven't got any of that.
do
Were
we
we
get that
asking
from the
also
state?
that we wanted from the state?
And I know
to,
I've gotten
give
letters,
us
and
documentation
that's why
what
they came
Harold
in
did
to do
wrong?
18 and 19, is because
Well,
they hadn't
that's-
received those ones
they-
yet, so I,
Up front, they claimed that he had mishandled the audits. That was a claim, and they recommended that he not be hired by anybody that was
Yeah,
statewide.
yeah, I remember that.
Well, we questioned that, well, what did he do wrong? And they couldn't come up with anything. They tried, remember those
Yeah,
5 different
yeah.
items and.
I think this
those
one
were all-
about the courthouse is the only one that's left.
That's the only one that's left, and that's the one that is probably the least significant of all of them, because it's obvious by code that we don't own it. I mean.
And easiest for us to prove.
It's all provable. We don't own it, we couldn't own it because the
No.
citizens never gave us the ability to own it.
Chris, what did they do with Rotunda's audits with the city? Because he was the city's auditor too, wasn't
Still
he?
is.
so
We
the-
are, 17 or 18 has been approved, but not, he's submitted everything, but they haven't approved. The last time I talked to Harold, he said the auditor's office is so backlogged right now, so he's just submitting them. So they can't say he hasn't submitted them, because he has.
If you talk to Harold, then put him in touch with Samantha.
I tried to look him up online, and it gives 2 different addresses. Which one do you correspond with?
I just do it with his email
Oh.
address there.
He did have an email address change too, I can share that with you.
Oh. Because it showed he had
That's
an
probably
office in
why.
West Fargo. And then another one of those sites showed like his home address.
Oh, maybe go home, put us home.
Yeah. So we're gonna just contact the accounting firms and ask for proposals or?
And
or
then put an
quotes?
ad in the paper,
Yeah.
is that correct?
Yeah.
Just for 1 week?
And then, yeah, and then see what Harold, if he can get back to you, or,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
I think.
Yeah, if you'll give me that email address, thank you.
I don't know if advertising in the local paper will
I don't
get
know.
you anything other than a bill for the ad.
Probably.
Right.
I could put it on our Facebook,
Or
I think
website.
he's-
our website and
Yeah.
our Facebook, and just put it there
Yeah.
and see.
He's gonna go back to school, I understand. The school's still have him again, wait, someone's,
Who's that?
the school.
Harold, oh, yeah. Well, the way I was told in the beginning was that that the state auditor's office wasn't letting him file any audits, and and then they were taking over all the counties that he did. And that was exactly what they told me. And then all of a sudden, when I asked why they were coming in, then it was because they were only coming into those places that they had issues, and our issue was that the building authority's stuff wasn't on there. So I don't know.
So their discrepancy was the fact that the building authority,
That's
he
what,
put as that we don't own it. That's the only reason why.
that was their saying that their reason for coming in.
I mean, do you want to know the true reason why they did it? Shortfall in the state budget. So they wanted to take over the auditing of all the different entities, charge the entities, which guess where it goes? To the general fund of the state.
Yeah.
That's what they were trying to do, displace Harold, bring in money in their coffers. They've mismanaged the state budget so badly that this next session, I don't know what they're gonna do. It's
a
in
wilt.
the drink all over, it's bad.
That's why I kinda chuckle at
Yeah.
the threat that he
Brady
didn't want us
Mart's
to make the
an
media,
idea. Which
because
ones?
once we
Brady
say we're
Mart's an
likely
idea.
not gonna pay your bill, we're likely gonna make the paper anyway.
Yep.
We use Bailey for.
So
Our long-
really, it's a veiled
They
threat
all-
because we're gonna end up in the media over this deal, and that's fine because
We're right.
I don't think the state auditor has
Yeah.
done a very good job of what he's supposed to be doing lately.
Yeah, supposedly Harold was doing all this wrong and they can't prove anything.
Then Harold's doing it for
I mean,
lunch.
he's been right along.
I'd like to see that he gets paid for the work he's
Yeah.
done.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Agreed.
gone on way too long.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what are those two bills?
It was 11,000.
11 or 12,
And
right?
that was for 15, 16, and 17, I think.
Okay, why don't we put that for future business, why don't we put that on the agenda?
Cause he didn't send us a bill until last year or something for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Why don't we put that on the agenda so we can get that done?
Do you want me just to put it within the bills? Or as an agenda?
Do we have an
item?
invoice?
Yep.
We have invoice, but wasn't the discrepancy before it, he didn't show, there was no breakdown on it, right?
Right.
There was no breakdown, it was just a.
We didn't.
It was just 11,000
Yeah,
for
flat.
these years.
Yeah.
I mean, and he doesn't have where he did this many hours for this
Yeah,
thing.
there's
I
no
mean, there's no,
flat.
Let's
there's
put it
no,
on the agenda and talk about it.
Okay.
okay, so it's agenda.
See if Harold will come.
Put it on the agenda and, put it as a bill, we'll talk about it there, that's the easiest.
Okay.
Okay.
And we can't drag our feet till we get paid or won't.
That's way past getting cleared up, so.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Anybody wanna talk about the party policy?
I was wondering if we hit that yet. What is that?
So that was just to put it in the employee manual, that if somebody retires, I'm able to use $200 out of the general fund to buy a cake, buy a plaque, those kinds of things, and I don't have to come to you for approval of that.
Okay, so retirement is like retire, like they hit 65, they retire and can find another job.
Yeah.
Not, I'm retiring from this job and going to the next job.
Or how many years.
Yeah.
I mean, if they've been here
That's the
2
trick.
years and then they retire,
Yeah.
do I still do
To tell
a?
them what, yeah, what you did before.
It's a
So-
cupcake, sheet cake, layer cake, is there grades of this
Marching
party?
band.
Yeah.
I should just stop this right now, cause I don't know if you can buy gifts.
You
legally.
can't.
It's not a, you
Plaque.
should.
Gratuity, you can't. It shouldn't be in the manual, it shouldn't even be discussed.
I think we've had that discussion before.
Okay.
I don't think we can.
Private industry can do whatever they want. Government of course, has to have some guidelines put up.
Sure.
We started out when you and I came on, we denied any request for that just to make it fair, cause.
Well, Stephanie just brought up the problem. What is it,
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah.
4 years, 6 years?
Yeah.
where
Where
it
did
is.
it come up, yeah.
So it's easier just to, boop.
Yeah. Party policy can be contributions from
Employees.
from your fellow employees.
And commissioners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
John said he'll fund the whole thing himself.
I don't party anymore.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
The museum, we would like to, at some point in time, make arrangements to go through and look at the inside of the old courthouse.
I have keys, do you have suits?
Suits?
What?
Yeah,
Hazmat suits.
yeah. Because the original part of the museum, we're looking at redoing, making rooms and those sorts of things. We'd like to use the wainscoting probably.
Sure.
I know you're talking about a list of things, and we'd like to do that. Some of the old fixtures,
Yeah.
those sorts of things from
Yeah, that stuff should get memorialized somewhere.
yeah,
The name plaques are pretty cool too.
yeah. And then
Some of the furniture is really cool.
we're getting closer to recreating the old pine cabin. So once that happens, whatever, I don't know what your wishes will be to do with the old one, so,
Are you gonna recreate it?
yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I think he's got about 3/4 of the logs now.
Yeah, he does.
Marty do?
Marty does, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, the old logs that are in there are just breaking down, so.
yeah, and now's the time to do it, when you can still look at it and say, oh yeah, we gotta do it this way. So we'll get it as close as
They
we
weren't
can.
oak logs, or what are they?
I think they are oak logs.
And they're.
Yeah, and he's getting oak logs for this one too.
Well, if you could just probably schedule with Sam to
Yeah, yep,
go
we'll
in
get.
there and snoop around and see what you're.
I think you were talking too, isn't there some, I remember one time I was at the previous county agent's office and they were talking about some photos, old 4-H photos that I think are over there also. We'll have to look and see. Go down, I think they're in the moldiest room.
I can about smell them now.
Yeah.
No, I've been putting stuff over there to store now because I don't have enough space in my
Oh,
office, so I'm putting stuff back in.
so you've got a key.
Oh,
Oh.
Sam.
He came in with a thing of keys and I said, I don't want them.
Oh, yeah.
Future business.
So future business, I have Harold's bill, that's gonna be in the bills. If, we'll talk about Ackerman asphalt again.
I'll see if I can get a response.
What's Ackerman asphalt?
Asphalt,
That was the,
is that engineering additional bill?
Oh,
That's all I have.
We gotta talk about 5715 2.2, which is
Say that again, please.
5715 2.2. That's talks about the levy.
2.2.
It appears that the money probably can come in as long as it doesn't change the levy, but I need to do a little more checking.
Thank you for looking into that.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
dang it, I knew that.
Motion by Mark to adjourn,
Second.
seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion, barring none, will proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 4:54. Next meeting is on Thursday, September 18th at 2:30 PM in this room. Thank you all for coming today.